Hello, welcome back to the ministry, and today I'm doing something a little bit different. I've been saying it all day. Um, okay, we're gonna talk about the five love languages through the Disney princesses. What? The Lord gave me this idea to do this yesterday, and I'm like, what? And I didn't quite understand how I was gonna do it. And I'm praying, Lord, give me your wisdom how you desire for this to be exuded or expressed. Because I'm still not quite understanding it. But it's the love languages that's going to bring about a little bit of clarity and understanding. And some of y'all women are going to recognize yourselves in this experience. I'm not going to make it long. We're just going to go through. And if we get 30 minutes, okay. But when you look at the Disney princesses, each one of them has their own identification. Now, each one of them is of different age ranges, which you later find out. Because I literally was watching a video on YouTube, and I forget the name of the channel, but they were talking about the actual ages of each of the princesses. And I was shocked to find out how young Snow White was in comparison to how old, I think her prince was kind of old. I think he was like 35. So I'm like, in today's standards, that would be illegal. But we got to remember that that was back during them times when you could get away with marrying a young person. There were no rules. It was all about fertilization of eggs. Shoot, she just barely past the age of being able to be in her conceiving years. So I don't know, but yeah, there. Each princess has different mannerisms, and we're gonna go through each one of them. For instance, when I'm looking at this list, words of affirmation, the ones that you could tell will kind of need more words of affirmation. Now, this princess I'm going to mention first is actually not a Disney princess. Anastasia is not a Disney princess. Anastasia is from the Fox house. Fox created Anastasia, but everybody thought it was a Disney movie because of the fact that it wasn't one of, it kind of fit in the genre of princess. When you think princess, you think Disney, you don't think Fox. And this was the one that offshoot that nobody really noticed that noticed that element of it, because everybody thought that she was, and it was only when I was watching, I think it was Mojo channel or something like that, where they said that she's actually not a Disney princess. But her attitude is, her and Princess Tiana both had kind of I don't care attitudes. So they needed more affirmation than any of the other ones. They needed the words of affirmation. Now, acts of service. Snow White, Cinderella are acts of service. Gifts. You could look at Belle as a gift giver, and you could also look at what's her name? Giselle from Enchanted as a gift giver. She was very much work with her hands type person. quality time. You can look at Giselle as a quality time type person, but you can also look at Snow White as a quality time type person. Because it's the time that she spent in the house with the 7 dwarfs. And she loved the experience of being around them. So that was more of a quality time type person. And lastly, physical touch. I believe Tiana needed a little bit of physical touch to soften her up. And you didn't notice that until she was in her frog state and her and the prince started to get close, that she enjoyed his physical touch. But she had to be softened up into it. So let's start with words of affirmation. Words of affirmation. These are the words of kindness. These are the words that affirm that you are being seen, that you are being heard. A reason I said Tiana and Anastasia was because these were the 2 people who were least likely to be easy receivers of words of affirmation. If you recognize both characters, Anastasia, she was out there. She was an orphan. She didn't know her family. She was a little bit, she had a little bit of an attitude about her. And it wasn't until she got caught up with the guy that she knew from childhood did she really start to feel. And it was his words of affirmation talking to her that made her heart start to soften. Tiana, on the other hand, she was a very, I'm all for myself. I do everything for myself. After my father passed away, I do the work at home that needs to be done. I do the work at my work that needs to be done. And I also prepare for the time frame when I'm going to be working for myself. She wasn't looking for no man, all that kind of stuff. She was in that I don't need a man mode. So when she was forcibly forced into being in association, some of us women, we have to kind of be put into that scenario where we're so driven by what it is that we do that the thought of focusing on a relationship really isn't there too much. It's not on the top of our list of things that we focus on. So we're kind of, And when this kind of, it's foreign to us when we get attention from a man. So they kind of were put in scenarios where, in Anastasia's case, she was being led by him in order to kind of walk through the experience. In order to meet with the grandmother for whatever that scheme was that they were planning. But she didn't realize that it was a scheme, and until he realized that she actually was the granddaughter. Now, Tiana, she was kind of forced into it because she didn't really like the prince after all. I think she had seen him earlier in the day and heard everybody was falling out over this dude, and she's like, and so what? What about him? And it wasn't until she was forced to go to the event, then the magician turned her into a frog. And he was, I don't know whether he was already a frog or when she kissed him, she turned, I don't remember how that happened, but they both end up becoming frogs. And in that moment, it put her in an uncomfortable position. And it was the words of affirmation that the prince gave her that actually started to make her fall for him, which had to be done because the movie was only about an hour and a half long. I think it was kind of one of the longer ones for Disney. And so they kind of needed to bring about that connection because it took a long time for them to get to a point where they kind of were forced to be in the same space with one another and being frogs. So they had to work together. So, and his words of affirmation that kept her going and him, it was that affirmation that maintained their relationship. Why am I saying all this? Because words of affirmation may be the very thing that your God ordained spouse needs. I know I'm a words of affirmation person. Please give me words of affirmation. Don't just sit there and be a bump on a log. I deal with enough of that in my personal life. I don't need all, no. It's unnecessary. Sorry. But, yeah. It's words of affirmation that were needed. So, acts of service. Cinderella. Cinderella, which we get a connection from Cinderella to the story of Esther in the Bible, that it's similar formatting. You also see the same thing when it comes down to Giselle's character in Enchanted. A lot of the elements of her are similar to the lineup of Cinderella, as well as Snow White. All of them are acts of service type people. They mean to do the best they can with what they have, and they work it to the best of their abilities. And they seek out love and care in the fact of the matter that what they do makes the other person happy. Even if sometimes it doesn't, but they know that they look at it deep down that the person does care for them because they've done something great for them, but they feel it's their acts of service that is a benefit. So when it comes down to Proverbs 31, they fit right in as the woman that takes care of her household, as the woman that cleans, that cooks, that is about dealing with the silks and the satins and the velveteens and all of this type of stuff, makes clothing and tends to the children and all that. They are that person. They are the acts of service wife. Some of your husbands are going to like the fact that you are very oriented in the home, cooking. And that's the one thing that you notice with Snow White. She's very much a cooking woman. She cooked everything that the seven dwarfs were eating, to the point that they were about ready to cry at the thought of anything having happened to her, because she was cooking them some good meals. It's like she cooked for them, and they came home to a meal, and they thought this was foreign. It's like, wait a minute, what? Acts of service. Acts of service. Gifts. Enchanted. Gifts. Giselle was always making something. She was always making garments. She was always doing something. She was always trying to make something. She was always trying to make something work. She was always making kind comments. She was always looking at things in a specific way. She was very much a gift person. And who was the other person I said was another gift giver? Belle. Because if you notice in the first scene when we see Belle is very much helping up the children as they're walking, and as she's interacting. Though she's reading her book and though she's doing this, she's very attentive to the people that are around her. She's attentive. And even when she gets into the beast's house, she's very much, what can I do to make this situation good for the both of us? And it's her love and her acts of service and her gifts that kind of soften the heart of the beast in the first place. Why I'm saying this? Some of y'all got a beast for a man. And some of y'all know that you had a beast because he was a beast towards you. That's why y'all separated and you waiting for the prodigal to come back after they done got themselves together. Because they was a beast. And yeah. And it was your gifts, your softness, your caring. They kind of rejected that because they weren't used to that. But it's going to bring about a level of care for them. Next, quality time. This is more so Snow White. Snow White was a quality time. You could even say that Aurora from Sleeping Beauty was a little bit of a quality time person, because think about how we first met her as her 16-year-old self. She was very much in the house. She was very much loving the quality time of being able to go out into the woods and spend times with the birds and all of that kind of stuff. I can even say something about this with Giselle, about the way that she liked to spend time even when she met the guy. I forget what his name is. Is his name Alex? I forget what his name is. That she ended up marrying. She was very quality time oriented. Taking care of the home. Being around them. Walking in the park. Very that quality time. Some of us are very quality time. One of the things that you're going to hear about minimally in the video I'm going to release, it's probably going to come up tomorrow, where I talk about the things that I prayed for that kind of led me into this kingdom marriage situation that I didn't know I was coming into, but the Lord kind of led me here, and I'm like, okay, and the consistent confirmations. And I didn't even add everything into that thing. I'm sorry. It was an hour, and I was like, I could say more, but I didn't. But I showed you how the Lord consistently confirmed for me who my God-ordained spouse was. And it's the quality time. Snow White, she was very much a servant, but she loved her quality time. She loved cleaning the house. She loved making sure that everything was cooked and all of that type of stuff. But she loved the moments of sitting and watching the, what is the names? The Seven Dwarfs going around the house and dancing with them and enjoying time with them. The dancing and the singing and the clapping and the this and the that, and I'll whistle while you work, and the time with the animals, and everybody was just drawn to her light and her energy. And it's just, for us, that would be just the love of God within her, for the love of people. And that quality time aspect, this is the thing your God-ordained spouse is going to love about you. It's the joy in the little things. Whether it be dancing around the house, whether it be how you enjoy listening to music around the house when you're cleaning, or whatever it is, that those little aspects of that element, and just the sitting with them and whether it be sitting with them outside on the porch or sitting with them inside the house and having conversation, and the way that you engage one another in that quality, intimate time. Society has gotten it all wrong of what intimacy is. When you think intimacy into the society standards, they automatically throw sex. I lie to you not. If you Google intimacy, what do you see first on Google? Whole bunch of sex related stuff. Intimacy is two people sitting, holding hands, having conversation, going on walks. That's intimacy. Ain't have nothing to do with you taking your clothes off. Society got it all wrong. Quality time. Going out to the park, sitting on a bench and having a conversation, getting to actually know each other. Quality time. Sitting and having a meal that you cook together. Quality time. This is what Snow White exuded, quality time. And lastly would be physical touch. Now, you could say physical touch came at any point with any of the princesses, because there's always a moment in all of the films where whether the prince put a shawl over Cinderella's shoulders, whether you're looking at the live action version, or maybe you were looking at Prince and the Frog, and Tiana is in her frog form and she leans her head on the prince's shoulder. Or I don't know, Giselle, she gets close to, what is his name? Alex or Derek? I don't know what his name was. I can't for the life of me think of his name is. She gets close to him, but she has a whimsy about her that you can tell draws that man into her, because she's so different than what he's used to. And the only time that they have real physical touch is when they dance together. A level of intimacy, an intimate moment that the two of them have a connection. Belle, when she's with the Beast, physical touch meant a lot to him because of the fact that she was willing to want to touch him in the first place in his beastly form. She saw the heart within, not the appearance without. Who else? What is it? Anastasia. She started to get close to the young man that was in her film. When they had intimate conversation and were having their moments, and they would be singing and talking and all of that kind of stuff. And there were moments of unsaid understanding until like everything blew up towards the end, when she found out that he was just trying to get some money for her. But there were intimate moments, hands holding, conversations of intimacy, physical touch. It's never going to be intense because it's a cartoon, but they have their moments. When the character rests their head on the person's shoulder, you understand that that person feels comfortable enough with that person that they will allow them to touch them. Physical touch is going to be important to some of your partners, especially if the person that you're involving yourself with is you can tell they're a very hands-on person. And it's not that they're extremely sexually driven, they enjoy physical touch. Some men view physical touch as sexual, but some of them enjoy just having that physical contact of, let me put my hand on your shoulder, let me have my hand in your hand, let me have that. And when you're in love with somebody, that's the way it is. And you may not be a physical touch type person, which I actually am not really that much. I don't really like people touching me at all. But if I like you, meaning if I personally have a really good relationship with you, I'll hug you. If I let you hug me, understand, you definitely have reached a level with me that most people don't reach. Because I'm very standoffish when it comes to somebody touching me. So if I hug you, means I really like you. Point blank and period. But yeah, physical touch. Your partner may like that. Your partner may enjoy that. We've seen the movie, go back and look at the movie review I did on The Perfect Match. That guy was a physical touch. Some men are physical touch type people. Some men don't understand love if it ain't physical. It's like, dude, there's more to love than just touching somebody. It's conversation, it's gifts, it's acts of service. It's quality time. They ain't got nothing to do with you putting your hands on them. But some people like the intimacy of touch, even before it becomes sexual. There is a level of intimacy to hug a person. There's a level of intimacy to put your hands on their shoulder. There's a level of intimacy to rest your head on somebody's shoulder or to lay next to them in a hammock or something like that. It's physical touch, but it's an intimacy. Can it lead to other things? It can. I've seen it happen before. I've been involved in some of it. But it can happen. But physical touch can lead to more than that. But it's not always about getting to that other thing. It's about the intimacy. Joe did a song called, what's the name of it? Slow Kisses. The whole song was about intimacy. It was about physical touch, but it wasn't about sex. Some people get lost in that. I might add it to the playlist. I might not review it, but I may add it because some people don't understand. And again, I say, the playlist. For y'all that haven't been paying attention, I created a playlist for all of the songs that remind me of you, songs that in relation to kingdom marriage that the Lord has given me revelation about. Because I was listening to him, I was like, oh, because God gave me an entire playlist about 13 songs, and I was like, I gotta do a whole list of this. And I made an entire list because it was that many songs all at once. Go listen to the playlist. It's a good, easy listening playlist, and I do the reviews in between with the spiritual understanding of what God showed me. So, yeah, but I may add some of these songs that I don't do reviews on, like Slow Kisses, because that's a song about intimacy. But yeah, I hope this blessed you. The Lord kind of dropped this on my heart to do. I didn't quite know how I was going to do it, but I think we accomplished what I was trying to do. And it's just something that you got to think about. And if you haven't seen the reviews that I've done on Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty, Enchanted, Snow White, I think those were the ones. I did not do Beauty and the Beast. I haven't been compelled to. I watched it like 3 times. I've seen the movie. I saw the live action that just came on the other week. I have not been compelled to do a recap on that. The Lord just hasn't given me. So I'm not just sitting up here doing recaps for my health. I'm doing them because the Lord gave me something. I didn't get nothing off of that movie. Some people have. Not me. That's why I haven't done it. So, yeah, I'm not just here doing stuff because I want to do stuff. But I hope this blessed you. I hope I did its service. And again, I tell you, for those of y'all that are preparing for marriage, you need to get the books. It's 2 to 3 of them. Get the 5 love languages. I think that's for married couples. They have one for singles. And they have one that I think you should pay attention to for when you hit hard times. I think that's when you should get. I got the audio version and I'm keeping it because I'm guaranteed that it's probably going to be one moment where we're going to have hard times. And it's a good worthy read. So I'm going to save that one for my arsenal just in case something happens between me and my codinated spouse and I'm frustrated and the Lord remind me, go read that book. I was like, okay. So for those of y'all that may be going through some stuff, maybe something that y'all read. But I told y'all before, go read the 5 love languages. Oh, and the one, he changed the name to the one talking about God because it's called I think it's called Love, Serve, and something else. But look up the one for God. 5 love languages of God because it's called Love, Serve, and something else. So I got that one and I got the 5 love languages in audiobook, and then for when your marriage hits hard times. So those are 3 good ones. So I hope this blessed you. Until next time, bye bye.